Oh man, I just went live, and right as I went to go live, I took a sip of water and it went down the wrong pipe. Ugh. I feel like I'm going to die. Jesus. All right. Well, good morning. Today is Friday, April 8th. My lungs can't get oxygen, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right. So what are we looking at here? Well, yesterday was a really strange day. We went down, we tested the low from the previous day and stopped exactly at it to a tick. So that created a weak low for yesterday. And then we put in another weak low in the H period. So the whole move higher was on weakness. So that's like essentially, wait for my drawing tool to load. That's essentially like leaving a magnet behind that's pulling on price down here. Okay. But the overnight just traded in the upper end of the range. So that's a little bit bullish that the overnight traded in the upper end of the range, but it's a little bit bearish that we left behind the weakness yesterday. Okay. So as we open this morning, I'm looking for chop. You guys know I love me some chop early in the morning when we open inside the previous day's range. And the level that I'm really looking at closely is this node on the cumulative around really around 4508. We poked through there yesterday, and that was the resistance that pulled us back down for the close. And we kept trying to get through there in the overnight all night and couldn't quite get through it. And that's what pulled us back down to where we currently are. So to me, if we can get through this node in the regular trading hours today, particularly if we can get through it, come back down and find some support, that will be good to get us to the base of the spike down from the 5th, okay, which is 45.33. So I'm looking at that as potential resistance above. And then what's tricky about the support below is anywhere we have a node of volume, we could look for support from yesterday, pretty much anywhere in yesterday's range, but we left behind those weak references. Okay, so you add on top of that the fact that we are, let me just zoom out to the daily, right in the middle of a previous balancing area. So this was the 3-day balance we had a little over, I guess, 2 weeks ago. We broke out of that. That failure to break out or to get continuation on that breakout is what has pulled us back down into that balance area. So it's also safe to assume that maybe the market just needs to spend a day or two bouncing around in here to either try again or fail and continue lower. So if that's the case, then the overnight last night would count as testing the balance area high. And when you test the balance area high and you fail to break out, you head to the opposite end of balance, which coincidentally would be yesterday's low. So to my mind, there's pretty high odds that the market is going to go lower today. But if it can get through that node at 45.08, then I'll look to get up to the base of the spike down at 33. For now, chop. Support, resistance, chop, 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 chop. Here we go. Happy Friday. So if this support from this node that's right around 44.81 breaks, I think we'll head back down to the next node, which would be about 44.72. But we could get support at either of those and continuation of chop. Skewball overnight was net long. Overnight was actually net short, if you can believe it. They did it right at the end of the night. So from where they opened to where they closed was actually net short. But I would call it pretty much neutral. It was a rotational night. All right, so testing this support right around 81 here. Can it hold for chop back up into resistance? Or if it breaks, we're probably heading down towards 44.72 as a potential look above and fail of a new balancing area. Good morning, Cyrus, Mick Stockster, Philip, Hustler Forever, Cyrus, Dean, Design Knob, Esco, Caffeine, Jose. The whole team is here. Bina Trading, Jack, Xavier, welcome. Xavier, a new member of the brigade. Going to see him in the private stream. $28 likes so far. Let's get that thumbs up going. Little thumbs up, little Friday like day. Little thumbs up for starting the stream by choking to death. All right, well, that support is fighting the good fight, putting in some nice taper. But once again, if this breaks, we're looking for a push lower. Man, they are really defending this level. That's a lot of people to get squeezed if it breaks. They're also conditioned for chop. They forgot about the look above and fail. They're defending it pretty well. All right, so now slowly but surely some of these longs are going to start rethinking their position. So I'm looking at the next support around 72. Of course, like I said, this could mean that we're heading down towards the lows. So this is sort of a monitor for continuation lower sort of scenario. If we come down into this node and we find support here, great, we can chop back up. But if not, we target the next node. If we don't find support in there, we target the repair of the weak references. But we could find support in either of these locations. That's the fun of a balance area. Good morning to Greg, Jocklo, Nick, Gunk, Am, Boss, Mike, Salmon, and Lamus. Welcome, everyone. And Arthur, good to see you. Well, Trip, I appreciate it, brother. That's a nice review. Thank you kindly. Jimmy Woo, good morning to you. Sanju in the house, good to see you. Ronald is here. Okay, looking for some support in this area here. Now we're testing previous support as resistance. Does this node that was just support now become resistance for another push lower? Also, halfback will act as resistance. Bob Smith, good morning to you. TV, looking for a rotation. Yeah, I mean, if anybody's just tuning in, what I was basically talking about this morning was we potentially have a balance area here, which is the same as the previous 3-day balance. So that looked like that right there. So the fact that the overnight looked above that area and failed and pulled back down increases the odds slightly. We need to visit the opposite end of the balance. And the fact that we left behind so much weakness there yesterday further increases the odds a little bit. But the tricky thing about a balance area is this is all support and resistance. So the market can find support anywhere in here and kind of just chop. It doesn't necessarily have to go in a straight line. So we're just taking it one support and resistance at a time. Right now we're getting resistance. So once again, same as before, as the market grinds its way through this support resistance level right now, one must think to oneself that if the buyers in here, if they see the market start to move lower, they're going to probably panic out of some of those trades. The sellers don't have as big a reason to panic if they lose because halfback's right above. But the buyers, they can get squeezed. All right, so once again, testing the support at 71. If this large node breaks, we target the next one below. There's actually support just above it, right in here. So I would say if 69 breaks, look at 59. Ooh, yep. And the internals are confirming some bearishness here. Like I said, market can find support and head back up anywhere in a balancing area. But right now, the buyers are weak. Salmon River, thank you for the heads up. NQ just tagged prior day's low. Looks like I missed it by a point. But, yeah, that's pretty bearish. Also, you got value overlapping to lower. Next major support to the downside is 14,295. If yesterday's low breaks. On the Q, back to the ES. Salmon River at points is plenty close. No, no, no. God damn it. It doesn't count if it doesn't get there. Okay, so as we printed the B period here, we created a little poor low. We often get a push away from a poor low, but it does increase the odds that at some point today we're going to come back down to repair it, meaning push a few ticks lower below that A period low. And of course, then we'll be starting to break through that support. So we would expect the push away into resistance. Let's see if we get resistance up here. All right, well, that first resistance is starting to break here. So next up, we got the half back just above it, 44.80, and then that little node of volume just above. So that should act as resistance as well. Join up, trading room. Yeah, so basically, I do the first hour of the day live here on YouTube. And then if you want to keep watching the stream for the rest of the day, I go live for like private members. You just sign up through the website. There's a link in the description. Only costs $10 a month. Dean, join it. Moment of truth. Can the buyers outpower the sellers? Will this resistance hold? All right, so with that resistance holding strong, we're looking for a repair of that poor low. Down there at 44.69. Wow. Trading donkey. You want an OnlyFans that's just feet pics, right? I got you. All right, I guess not. They got the ticks back above the zero. So I'm neutral once again. Looking for chop. That is a difficult thing about a bounce area. So we're now looking for resistance around the opening price, 44.90. Still need to repair this poor low. Still have a balance area. All right. Well, I'm afraid it's the same weekend buyers. Man, these guys get squeezed really easily. So once again, poor low back in play. Here in Chopsville, USA. NQ feels bearish to me. You still got value completely lower. They got resistance at halfback. They do have good excess on the low and good taper. But this feels like it wants to go downtown. Looking for support around 92 and then down at 245. 292, 245. So now to get me bearish on the on the ES, I want to see the repair of the poor low and then look for resistance that will hold this time. So I want to see the market get a few ticks below the B period low and then come back up and turn what is now acting as support into resistance to get me down to the next node. Otherwise, there might be buyers right there. Also, to get me bearish, I'd love to break the uptrend in these ticks on both the indices. I'd like to get that big red tick that breaks the lows. That would be confirmation of the buyers giving up. Cortman, how did I get started with profiles? I was following Peter Resnicek from Shadow Trader for a long time, and he talked about it, and I never quite understood it, but it seemed interesting to me, and so I finally took courses with Jim Dalton, and that's where I learned. But of course, now I have my own course. It's my own course, of course. And I think it's the single best place to learn. I designed it specifically to be. There's a link right there in the comments. Well, I'll be honest with you. These buyers are pretty strong here, but I feel sorry for them because I think they're going to get slapped. How many times will they buy this support? How many times will they buy this support and get nothing for it before they finally give up? Feels like I'm watching paint dry right now. All right, they got the breath back in the positive here. The buyers are like the little engine that could. They're trying. They're working for it. Also looks like that bounce this morning was off the 200 daily on the current contract. Cortman, I meant to ask, how is your training program different from Mr. Dalton? Just very different personalities. He does free webinars all the time. If you go to jimdaltontrading.com, you can see when they're doing webinars. Just listen to one of his webinars. You'll see what I mean. The best way I could think to describe it is I take what takes him about 2 hours to teach, and I teach it in 10 minutes. That's what I would say. All right. Well, the internals are starting to look good here. I really distrust this much weakness, though. This entire move is built on weakness. And weakness loves to get repaired. All right, well, as we print the C period, I'll tell you what I'm leaving you with here. Pretty much the same thing I said this morning, which is that this node over here on the cumulative, which is right where we had resistance both yesterday and in the overnight, that's going to be really important today. If we can break out above that, I would be pretty confident thinking we're going to get up to 45.33. Of course, we want to see it get above, come back down, find support, and then we look for that continuation. But as long as it stays below there, I still think the highest probability is sooner or later to come down here and repair this weakness. So I am looking, even though the market is starting to get a little bullish here, I think it's just on the short term, and there's resistance waiting above. So I would say whether you want to go long or short, don't fall in love with your trades today. Take profits quick and look to re-enter. Because me thinks it's going to be another choppy one. Rob Farley? Yeah, email me, dude. Ahoy@piratraders.io. I'll hook you up.